All right. What's up? What's up, everybody? And everybody that's going to come on. So, usually somebody is, other than me, is usually popped up by now. So, I'm going to wait to see who get the notifications. And on this one, we're going to hit the ground running because there's a lot going on here. And one of the things that I started to realize. Okay. Hey, what's up, Cornelius? All right. So as we wait for people to come in, um, some of the times I need to send a quick reminder to some people because for some reason, hey, if you haven't subscribed and you're popping in, if you haven't subscribed, click the subscription and notification bell so that you can get these. All right. And so as people pop in, let me do one thing. As people pop in, all right, this is going to be a real serious take. And the reason why I start doing these again is for this. I send out the messages only to the brothers because the realization of everything is this, that it's us brothers that start communities. Really, it is our brothers that start communities. A community can only start when men get there and they come together to build the community and protect said community. Right? Now, when you see a community of primarily women and children, that means something happened to the men that started the community. And nowhere in history did women jump on a bunch of boats, go somewhere, and start anything by themselves, sail across the seas and stuff like that. All right. They may have gone with the men, but they have not gone independently of men. I want y'all to understand that. But there's some other stuff going on here too that that brothers need to come to grip on. And that is the spirit that is going on. And that spirit had always existed. The spirit that's going on now within the B-dubs have always existed. It is the one thing about them that our adversaries or our oppressors try to hide from us. If you notice, in every app, the B-dubs get paid a lot of money, millions, for doing nothing, not building anything, for shaking their behind. And the reason why they're being promoted is the world knows that they're not going to do anything that benefits the community. They're not going to let a Afro man be in charge of that money. They'll let a Caucasian man be in charge of that money, but they will not let an Afro man be in charge of the money and rebuild the community. That was a threat. Remember, before 1950, when the community was a patriarch, it was somewhat protected. And even when it couldn't protect itself from the government onslaught, it rebuilt itself. Right? So when we talk about the onslaught that the government, the state, and the Caucasian people did against the people on Greenwich Street, which we affectionately call Black Wall Street. All right. When we look at that, understand that they rebuilt that by 1935, 1936. It was totally rebuilt. Who rebuilt it? It was the men. So what destroyed it? What destroyed it is the BP wanting to be like the Joneses. We're going to cover that. So for those of you who are listening, remind me to cover how we're not supposed to have kings because we're not supposed to be like the Joneses. Trying to be like the Joneses is bad for us. Integration was the worst thing to happen to us because we did not integrate into a better society where we all lived alone. We integrated our finances into the pockets of those who want of our oppressors, who then made the communities poorer, submerged the communities underwater, and all this because we were pushed by a weak mindset that, oh, I want to be like you, I want to belong like you. And a lot of that was driven by the female minded. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. All right. When we talk about this integration thing, it was not a masculine thing to want to be like your oppressor, right? Especially when we was doing so well without them. And we do ourselves a disservice to not realize that. But a lot of our movements that we had where we wanted to be human, stop being treated like animals. That's what the civil rights fight started about. If we weren't trying to be with them, we weren't trying to belong to them. But a Baptist preacher was guided by a member of the LGBTQ, Beard Rushton, to integrate into Caucasian society when for us there was nothing good about that society. But for Beard Rushton, it benefited him because him, like the pastors and everything, they wanted their ice because their ice was colder in their eyes. And that's kind of the mentality that we had gotten, right? Why am I speaking of this as an intro? This very mentality of having and flourishing, but wanting more. And when you look at the mentality of BP right now, even though they have a lot, is not as good unless they have the Caucasian stuff. Like for B-Dub, the reason why we will never be able to please them because they want what some Caucasian designer made. And even if an Afro designer designed the same thing, the same quality, I want y'all to understand this. Same design and same quality. Because understand, when you look at all these designer purses with all these images on them, it comes from Africans. So they stole the art of African, put it on a purse, made it an exorbitant price, and your B-Dub woman ain't going to be happy with you unless you buy that thing, right? Why? Do she need it? No. Do she have what she needs? In most cases, yes. But why? Vanity. This whole thing is going to get into that right now. But first, all right, I'm going to do something real quick because it seems like it seems like a lot of brothers, I don't know who's getting this I don't know who has this yet, right? I get worried about sharing stuff on Facebook anymore because brothers don't support brothers on Facebook. I'm just going to keep it real. Brothers don't support brothers on Facebook unless they got some half dressed woman up there. Then they'll talk about that while looking at it, but they won't support things that's going to save them some money, happiness, and give them growth spiritually. All right. And so this is where we are. A lot of brothers, we can't save them. We can't even save the brothers. There's going to be an issue. There's already going to be an issue with trying to reach brothers, but we don't have to. All we need is enough righteous brothers and we'll be all right. But understand, we don't have to save all of the brothers. All right. We do have to have these discussions that we're going to have tonight so that we can have this type of understanding whereby we know what we're facing when we're dealing with the B-dub. All right. So that we don't know. And I don't mean like know what we're facing, like how do I say it? We need to know what we're facing for real. All right. Everybody is trying to teach the brothers how to get involved with the Caucasian system, but the Caucasian system has always been poison to us. So we need to come up with a system that is not that. Now, I have this up here in particular for a reason. All right. Because we're going to go into that. All right. So somebody remind me of this. The go into 1 Samuel. 8th chapter. I'm going to put this up in the thing too. I really don't know who's up here because nobody's in here. But so let me grab something and then we're going to get into this now that you have the intro. I was waiting for other people to come in to see who's going to come in. And this is going to be one of those that if you have a question, ask it. Because not only am I presenting you with something, right? Not only is this a presentation, but this is also going to be things where we look into this together as brethren. All right. This is going to be a discussion that we need to have together. Right? There's some things that that I want y'all to see that I had made sense of a long time ago. And one of the biggest problems with making sense of stuff that goes against somebody's religion, understand religion. The one thing I want you to understand about religion is this. That all the religion, none of the religions come from us. And when we talk about the main fruit, the way of life that's in Scripture, as we say, the commandments, that's ours. What religion is the manipulation of our belief system, our science and knowledge, right? for the purposes of the supremacists. All right? It teaches us to be weak and turn the other cheek. It teaches us everything that is detrimental to us, while at the same time, they follow none of the principles that they want us to follow. Like to be oh so forgiving. If you are, here's the thing. Two major things happen. All right, and I paid attention to this. What's up, King Groove? Let me greet everybody real quick. Now that I got a few people in here. Hovorda hardu gudag, ola oite bem, vasas los bonjour mes amis, kedabawani konnichiwa, ni hali ama, sani bonani, jumbo habarigani, assalamu alaikum and shalom. All right, so now, let me bring forth some things. All right, let me bring forth some things. Some things I want y'all to understand, right? One of the things that I want y'all to understand is that if you're going to follow a religion, you're being played for a sucker. All right. The people who are in charge of those religions don't really follow the religions they're in charge of. All right. So I want y'all to have this understanding. The people that are in charge of these religions don't really follow the religions that they're supposed to be in charge of. All right. So the pastors don't follow the religion Christianity, because if the Christianity is based on the Bible, they don't follow the Bible. If they followed the Bible, there would be no such thing as a woman pastor or a woman preacher. But because the Bible is not followed, and much of it has been rewritten, right? Much of it has been rewritten to not be followed. While people think they're following something, all right, then most people don't know what the hell is going on. Right? And you know that they're hypocrite in what they say, because no woman should be up preaching, but you see it. You see that most women in the church have already been run through by a pastor. What's up, young boy 24? All right. So basically, this is going to be an issue. Now, what we're going to look over now at this point, we're going to go into 1 Samuel. So remind me to get back to that. We're going to go into 1 Samuel 8 chapter, because you need to understand that. What's up, Cortez? But the reason why this is important, because there is nothing new under the sun. Right? We're going to go into Ezekiel like mama, like daughter. As it is with the mother, so it is with the daughter. Right? We're going to go into all of that. And I want you to look at what I have up right now. The line of Cain, the line of Seth. And look at the omission. And we're going to explain that in detail, because of something we have going on with paternal fraud, paternity fraud. The first paternity fraud began with Eve. Everything that the B-dub is doing to the Afro man, it was done to the first man, right? But I want you to understand something. The first man's name wasn't Adam, but Adam, the man we call Adam, named Eve. Adam means man or mankind. And we know that because that's how scripture in Genesis 5 says it. So let's start covering these bases. Now, I put up a little taste of what I was going to talk about yesterday, right? Now, for those of you, all right, I'm going to do this real quick. So, for those of you, let me see something real quick. Okay. This is a new format, y'all. All right. So, the link is going to be up there, not for the discussion, but for those of you that got something to add, right? Meaning that if you know some, if you have some deeper insight on that, and then after this, then we'll have the panel discussion on what all the things we went over. Okay, all right. So let's start off like this. All right. So we're going to go back to this, right? This is very inaccurate as to what happened in the garden. This picture right here is very inaccurate as to what went down in the garden. All right. This is more like what went down in the garden. And this is what happens to the B-dub today. Any dude with a silver tongue can get in them, can bust it wide open, can get that box. Any brother with a silver tongue, Caucasian with money and a silver tongue, they can get the box. What's up, Cortez? All right. They can get the box. So this is what happened in the garden. The serpent was a being, and the clear term for this dude was Nahash. And we'll get to that in a minute, right? He talked her out of her box, and that created Cain. Now, we're going to go to Genesis 4:1, because you must ask yourself, why did the woman named Cain? All right, I want y'all to understand this. Why did the woman named Cain, if that was the man's child? All right, and so one must ask themselves, why was Seth appointed to take Abel's place? Notice, Seth was not up. Notice that Cain was older than Abel, and this is something else I want y'all to think about. Cain was older than Abel. Seth was born to take Abel's place. Why wasn't Seth born to take Cain's place if Cain is the older son? Remember that in Deuteronomy 25, I believe, or 22, the father cannot give the rights of the firstborn. We're going to remind me to get into Deuteronomy, because the father, what David did wrong was he gave the birthright of the eldest to his youngest, and that's against the commandments. All right. So then, why was Cain to replace Abel? Why didn't Eve name Cain? Why doesn't Cain appear in Adam's genealogy? This adds up to all one thing, that Cain was not Adam's son. or the man's. Cain was not the man's son. Cain was not the son of man. All right. So I want y'all to chew on that for a minute. Cain was not the son of man. We're going to show this now. How Cain was not the son of man. Well, this tells you all that you saw right now shows you that Cain was not the son of man. He was the son of the woman. What's up, Cortez? He was the son of the woman, but he was not the son of man. So let's go look at this. And the first thing we're going to do is hit up Genesis, right? All right, so we're going to hit up Genesis real quick. Now, I'm using a Bible called the Scripture. And again, this is going to be important for this reason, that there is nothing new under the sun. There's absolutely nothing new under the sun. All right. And so while we're dealing with this, right, kangaroo, the daughters of perdition, right? There's a reason they give simps worship, right? So we're going to go back here to Genesis. So I know y'all all can read this. Wait a minute. What is going on here? I see y'all writing a lot of stuff, but I don't see it in here. All right, so let's see what's going on. All right, can y'all see that? Let me know if y'all can see that real quick. Okay, yeah, we're here. Okay, so let's go to Genesis real quick. So when we hit Genesis, and y'all and I get an understanding, it says that the Nahash was more crafty than all the lives of the field, right? Y'all said that what Elohim have made, right? And he asked the woman a question. Is it true that Elohim has said, do not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the Nahash, we are to eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, do not eat of it or not touch it. Do y'all, lest you die. So what I'm going to do is highlight here. You know what? I'm gonna just pick this out and I'm gonna put it up in here real quick, so that y'all can get a gander at what's going on. Now, this is how the church effed us over as a community. This is how the church messed us over as a community. It taught us that the man told the woman about the people in the midst of the garden in order to make an excuse that it's the man's fault that the woman did what she did. All right. Keep in mind that the man was not in charge of the woman yet. There was no leadership because there didn't need to be a leadership because the Most High was the leadership. Understand this. There was no leadership in the garden until the Most High handed out punishments. So we're going to dispel two things. There was no leadership in the garden because the Most High was the leader. The Most High was the leadership. So they didn't need nothing. They had a direct route to the Most High. The Most High led them. So there was no leadership in the garden. No, the man did not lead the woman. He didn't have to. The woman did not. They didn't have to. She got the commandment directly from the Most High. How do we know this? Because that's exactly what she says. She says that Alahan, or the mighty ones, has said, do not eat of it nor touch it. In that order. And now that we know to eat something in scripture means to learn or be taught or consume knowledge, she was not supposed to consume knowledge. And then again, touch. There was not supposed to be any kind of physical relationship with these people or things or entities. So don't learn from them and don't have a physical relationship with them. Don't learn from them, all right, because they were the tree of knowledge, but the knowledge that they had was forbidden for human beings at this time. Remember, human beings were just created. Understand this. And so at the time, there was no leadership. That's one lie. Here's the other lie. Nothing happened until the man took the fruit. That's another lie that you're taught in church. All right. And we're going to dispel that real quick too. All right. So before we get into why the B-dubs are acting the way they do, you got to understand this corruption. And in scripture, and I'm going to bring it up again in Ezekiel, these things are passed down from mother to daughter. When we look at why the good men are despised in the Black community, feminism passed that down. They passed it to the mother, and the mothers passed it to the daughters. So it went from grandmother to mother, mother to daughter. When we talk about this thing called self-hate, the brothers don't have self-hate. We're not running around with weave on our head. We're not running around with Caucasian man's blonde wigs. And very few of us are bleaching our skin. All right? It's just non-existent. And the dudes that's doing it are people that's wasting their money, but they got that money to waste is because that's who they got the money from. Remember, these boss bees and all these women with this education and stuff, they didn't build anything. They're getting their money from the oppressor. And then they're oppressing the community by using the oppressor's system, dragging a man through child support court, dragging a man through family court after they want to take half his stuff because he did something she didn't like she didn't listen to him, or he didn't listen to her, right? And so since they physically aren't stronger, mentally don't have the mental fortitude, they have cunning though. They are very cunning. Where did they learn this? Right here. This is where they learned to be cunning. Because when I bring up the book of Enoch, it's one of the things that they taught the women. They taught them to be cunning. The woman learned to be as cunning as the Nahash. And then you have this lie, you shall not surely die. For Elohim knows that in the day that you eat of it, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be like him. You should be like Elohim. All right, here's the other way he got her. All right, y'all, here's the other way he got her. This is the other way he got her. What's up, Kid Jackson? All right, this is the other way he got her, right? She should be above the man and be like the Most High, knowing good and evil. Now, this is the part that people don't understand or they gloss over. Now, remember, the fruit is knowledge, right? So, when we're talking about this, and the woman saw that the tree was good for food, it was pleasant to the eyes. Wait a minute. Understand that. It was good for food and pleasant to the eyes. All right. And what does when the scripture talking about learning something, what do they call it? Eat this. What does it says? Some people are only ready for milk and not meat. Understand how food is used as an allegory for putting something in your spirit that will nourish it. Like food, like physical food nourishes your body and helps it grow. Right? And so what she did was the knowledge that she got from the serpent or from the Nahash, she gave to her husband who was in the garden with her. Understand? Now, the other thing that happened is she touched it. And why did she touch the dude or the thing or the Nahash? Because he was pleasant to her eyes. So not only was the fruit that he was given going to make her wise, but the Nahash itself was pleasant to her eyes. Now, why are we talking about this? And how come it don't make sense to nobody? It doesn't make sense because nobody reads Genesis 3 from the first verse all the way down. All right. So after she gave her husband the knowledge, both of their eyes were open and they knew they were naked and they sewed on fig leaves together. Right. And when they did this, they heard the Most High, Jehovah, walking about in the garden in the cool of the day. All right. And then the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Elohim amongst the trees in the garden. Now, understand why I said the man and his wife. And we'll get to that in Genesis, the 5th chapter. That's going to make this clear. Because they did not have a name until after the man named his wife. We'll get into that in a second. Right? And so when the Most High and Elohim called unto Adam, and he said, "Where are you?" And he said, "I heard your voice in the garden. I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid myself." Now, here's the important thing. Here's the most important thing that I'm going to put up now. This next part. And why is this important? Because we're dealing with this mentality today. When we look at the false paternity, when we look at the vitriol that good men are getting from the B-dub, when we're looking at how dudes coming out of prison can talk the draws off of the box, and these women are giving up all their boxes. When we look at other men raising children that aren't theirs, that is not in their bloodline, they got all this from this first woman. All right. And he said, who made you to know that you were naked? Understand this. Allah said, who made you to know that you were naked? He didn't say what. He said, who? So the tree in the midst of the garden, the Nahash, is a who. Is not a tree. The fruit was the knowledge of all the things the woman gained: manipulation, cunning, and all the rest of that stuff. And I want y'all to understand this. If I was to go back, and if y'all want me to, I'll go back. So put up, go back after I make this statement. The woman did not disobey the man. The woman in the garden did not disobey the man. The woman in the garden disobeyed God. The Nahash got the woman to disobey God directly. And we know this is because Genesis 3:3 tells you exactly that. How many of you missed that? Did you miss that? Or how many people understood that? I put it up in here. I think I put it up in here. All right. The woman directly disobeyed the Most High. Directly. And here it is. Genesis 3:2, Genesis 3:3. All right. And the woman said to the Nahash, but of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said. Look at who told her. Who told the woman? It wasn't the man that told her not to eat the fruit. Eat of the fruit that was in the midst of the garden, nor don't touch it. It was Elohim. Elohim, however you want to say it. So Elohim told her not to do it. And she states that. This is a quote from the woman we now know as Eve. She states that it was the Most High. It was Elohim that told her not to touch that tree, not to touch that, eat that fruit or touch that tree, not to get that knowledge or mess with those individuals in the midst of the garden. Now, we now know that these are individuals that are human-like because the Most High said, who made you to know that you were naked? Right? Hold on, but we're not done yet. See what happens and when you get to this. Now, when you go down and look here, the man said, the woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree and I ate. So she gave him the knowledge of the individuals and he learned it. That's where he learned that he was naked. right? Now, the other things that the church do that is really evil. Hey, what's up, Nesman? Did I catch you, Cortez? The other thing that the church do that is really evil is they act like the man accused the woman of something when at the time there's just innocent, and he's telling the Most High the exact truth as it happened because he was asked the question. So here's the question I'm going to put to you. Here's the question I'm going to put to you. What was he supposed to do? Lie? I want y'all to think about that for a moment. Was he supposed to lie? Be like, Lord, well, I'm gonna take it. But first of all, he didn't know how to do that yet. They didn't know how to do that yet. She knew how to be deceptive, sneaky, and stuff, but he didn't. The woman says this. But hold on, wait. Now, the woman made an excuse. The man didn't make an excuse. He just said what happened because he don't know any better. Right? The woman did know better because she willfully disobeyed Elohim. Right? And Yahweh Elohim said to the woman, "What is this you have done?" And the woman said, "The Nahash deceived me and I ate." Right? Now, I want y'all to understand this, right? Hey, what's up, McGill? I want y'all to understand this. For those of you that's coming in late, y'all missed a lot, but if you want me to go back, I will. But there's a bigger point to the show, right? I want y'all to understand this. The Most High said to the Nahash, because you've done this, you are cursed above all livestock, more than any beast of the field, on your belly, this, that, and the other. Right? But he was talking about a future punishment he's going to get. Now, I want y'all to Genesis 3 and 15. I will put enmity between you and the woman and between your seed and her seed. And there's this, right? Men, righteous brothers are the one. We're in a constant battle against wicked ones. And that's what's happened. The woman brought evil into the world. This woman, the Eve, she brought evil into the world. And mankind is in a constant battle with the seed she brought forth out of the serpent, out of the Nahash. I don't like saying, I'm going to call it with Nahash, the crafty one. Now, here's the catch. Genesis 3 and 16. To the woman he said, I greatly increase your sorrow and your conception. So the amount of time that she could pump out a child got longer. She will have a lot of sorrow. She will bring forth children in pain, and her desire should be for her husband, and it should be translated the man. The correct translation should be her desire should be for a man, and he does rule over her. Now, understand this. Did you ever notice it's hard to make a woman happy? All right. Did y'all ever pay attention how difficult it is to make a woman happy, especially a B-dub? It is really, really, really difficult to make them happy. All right. This is why. They're supposed to have sorrow. because that's what vanity brings you. All right. Now, he cursed her box. Notice how he curses her box. The things she sinned with. So when she went and created Cain with the serpent or the Nahash, the Most High cursed her box for it and gave her sorrow. Right? The man, he had to work the ground to eat. Now, here we go. Understand this. Here's another important thing. This other important thing is the man then names the woman. So before the fruit incident, before the fruit incident, there was no name for the woman. Hold on for a second. All right. Before the fruit incident, there was no name for the woman. The man was still called the man, right? Because that's what Adam means, the man. All right. And I am going to point out to you that that's what it means in Genesis, the 5th chapter. All right. So let's roll on over to Genesis, the 5th chapter. Now that we got that out the way, then we're going to go back to the 4th. All right. Genesis 5:1. This is the book of genealogy of Adam. All right. We're not talking about the man. All right. But we're talking about the man and woman in this case. In the day that Elohim created man, he made him in the likeness of Elohim. Male and female, he created them. So when he made Adam, he created male and female. He blessed them and called their name Adam. So that y'all can get this, y'all can get this, y'all can get it. I keep telling people they get tripped up over this part right here. All right, this is what Adam means. Male and female, he created them. He blessed them. So any of y'all coming in late, if y'all need me to go back when we really start getting into detail, let me know. And called their name Adam in the day they were created. All right. Adam means man, as in species. Then the man in Genesis, the end of Genesis. What's up, Nesman? What's up, Zimalu? Hey, Zimalu, you could pop in here too, because he kind of knows this stuff too. So the man named the woman after the fall. Now, here's another thing that churches lie about, and everybody is lying about it. Nothing happened to the man. Nothing happened to the woman. Nothing happened to the serpent. So all them Ignorant people that says nothing happened until the man bit the fruit. First of all, he didn't bite a piece of fruit. He learned from the woman what the woman learned from the serpent, from the Nahash. All right. Now, what happened is the Most High, before he cursed people and gave out punishments, he got the full story first. He said to the man, "Who told you that you were naked?" All right. He said, "I didn't tell you." Who told you? Did you mess with the tree in the midst of the garden? The tree meaning people or entities or persons or whatever you want to call them, the fallen or the group of beings that was in the midst of the garden. His answer was no. I learned that I was naked from my wife. But he didn't even say wife because they weren't wife, husband. He didn't see her like husband and wife. That's the woman that's with me. I learned this from the woman that you gave to be with me. Right? There's another thing I just thought about. They wouldn't be husband and wife because husband means something that takes care of. A wife is a woman that helps a husband take care of. But they didn't need to take care of anything because the Most High was in charge. This is why the man wasn't the ruler over the woman in the garden until after the fruit incident. So when you really break it down, the Most High waited to get the whole story. And so when he said, well, the woman you gave to be with me, she taught me this, right? So they were kind of independent and together at the same time. There was no leadership between them because as the woman said, way back up in Genesis 3:3, when he asked her about the fruit, she said directly that Elohim had told her that if she get this knowledge, that she shall surely die. All right, and y'all saw that in scripture, as they say. But a lot of people will want to be tied up in their religion and ignore what's really going on here. What's up? Right? So they want to get tied up in their religion and ignore everything that's going on. All right. So in the garden, as you see here, he called their name Adam. All right. So in the garden, he called their name Adam. Now, let's get into another part of this. Because y'all need to get, a lot of people need to get an understanding. A lot of people need to get an understanding because they done got so brainwashed by the preacher. They got so brainwashed by the preacher. Now we get back to this. A couple of things that, and this is just for clarification so that brothers don't be lost. The Most High has a reason for everything, right? And when we look at this, we look at Abel's offering and Cain's offering. And it bothered me like it bothers a lot of people. Wait a minute. Why did the Most High not take Cain's offering? And the Most High didn't take Cain's offering because Cain was only half human. Now this all starts to make sense. All right. Cain was the product of an abomination. And in the eyesight of the Most High, and we get this when we look at Enoch and other parts of Genesis, it is an abomination for an immortal to put a seed in a woman, right? Because an immortal impregnating a mortal woman can only create evil. We learned this. Y'all remember in the book of Enoch when we went into Enoch goes into much detail. It just says it in Genesis, but in Enoch it goes into detail, right? How the and why the Nephilim was created and stuff like that, right? And so when you look at this, this is why the Most High respected Abel's offering and not Cain's, because Cain had a corrupt heart because evil was birthed in him by the woman. Yes, she was a B-dub, the first woman, right? And so the woman, this is why you have so many in our community that manipulate their sons, manipulate their uncles, manipulate that because life is nothing to them. And at the drop of a hat, the B-dub will get one of their own to come in to take the life of a righteous man. Or some dude that said something she don't like or didn't do what she wanted him to do. And a lot of these men are in the grave or in prison behind the lies of the B-dub. More innocent black men are in prison behind the lies of the B-dub than any other group, than the lies of the police, than of Caucasian women. Everybody is lying with us. All right, don't get it twisted. But there are more of us in prison behind the B-dub than anyone else. Right? You see this all the time, that their desire is, even when they have this, they want to get close next to God. They want to get next to God or above the man. Even in Christianity, where there should not be a such thing as a female pastor, you got it, right? Even when the woman makes all her money off of the Afro community, she will still run to the oppressor. And this is why they give the B-dub all the money in the community. She has the option to be with a good man. She has that option. She could choose that, but she doesn't. She has the option of, when they do that to try to separate us, she could be like, no, I'm going to take this and let my husband direct me in how we could do this to make a good community, a good future for children. She don't give a damn about the children unless they're coming from the oppressor. Like you got Eve talking about, oh, I don't want my children to see color. But she did. A lot of these women see it. They don't like us because of ours. So they go to the people that originally oppressed us. All right. And so you get this all the time where you got the B-dub trying to usurp authority, and they could care less about what the Most High says about these things. All right. I want y'all to understand they could care less. Let's see what Cornelius says. Okay, they could care less. So when the woman slept with the fallen ones in the garden, it corrupted her soul. That's why there we go. Right. Because the promise was that if I give you this knowledge, you will have the same knowledge that you will have the knowledge of God, knowing good and evil. Right? Now, when you go on Enoch, what happened is the Most High, as a result of this, cut the fallen off from this knowledge. He cut them off from this knowledge, right? So now the watchers no longer have access to the secrets of heaven, right? But they still train the women in the ways of manipulation, right? Why do you think so many women are getting involved in witchcraft? Well, yeah, there's a sin in female past because it is a house of idolatry. That's the sin, idols. They want to be the idol. They want to be the very thing that people. There it is. Hold on. Let's go back to Genesis real quick. Oh yeah, yeah. And people like, why don't you like Candace Owens? She believes Candace Owens only is spouting with her husband like because she was a full-on liberal until she got with a Caucasian. She could have got with a Caucasian, a conservative. She could have gotten with a conservative brother, but no, she didn't choose that. No one chooses conservative brothers. They only get angry like, oh, they don't exist. They exist, but they call us nerds, and then the same Caucasians that are just as nerdy, that's okay, right? Now, here's the problem, and this is why it would be a sin. If there's one man, one child in that church that is an adolescent, whether they're a musician or whatever, then she's in violation. And you know, all these churches got at least one man in it. Ooh, Cornelius! No, you didn't. He said, "Yeah, brother. Yeah, a brother told me, how can a BW say she loves you when she don't even love her own hair?" Hey, what's up, Ace? And so when we look at this, brothers, when we look at this, right? Let's go back into the Genesis again. So when we look at this, so the Most High created them, right? Wait. Here again, we're in 5, right? Let's go into 5 and 5. And this is how we know that Cain does not belong to Adam or the man. Brothers, let's see what Kid Jackson said. How can you trust them when they're denying God? There it is. Now, here we go. Look at this. See, this is why I told people, if you really want to get a good feel of what's going on with us in our community, with human beings, um, the sin, the battle that we're engaged in, because brothers, we are engaged in a spiritual battle as well as a physical one, right? Now you got Genesis 5:3, and Adam lived 100 years, 130 years, right? And he brought forth a son in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth. Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? Seth. Are y'all tracking? All right. And I'm gonna tell you something else deeper, right? Let's go into the 4th chapter. All right. Yep. Hold on. B does love to say they stand with the brother struggle, and behind the scenes they sell us out to the oppressor. They are the, and a lot of times they are the cause of the struggle. This is why. This is why. And now we're going to go into. We're going to put one more thing up before we go back to chapter 5. Let's go to chapter 4:1 real quick. Right? Let me see something real quick. Go King James 16:11. All right. Go back. Zimmerlu said read 5. He said go all the way back through 5. Adam lived 130 years. He begat his own likened in image and called his name Seth. Right? And the days of Adam neither. So this is the genealogy of Adam. All right. So this is the genealogy of now here's the other thing. You have 2 Enochs. The one that became Metatron, and there's another one that was in Cain's line. All right. And so, right. And Cain is not mentioned in Adam's bloodline. So read the whole 5th chapter. Right. Read the whole 5th chapter. All right. Hold on. Zimmerlu, you shouldn't be confused because Abel would not be listed because Cain took Abel's life. So how could he have a child? Right? Cain took Abel's life before he could know a child. That's why Abel is not mentioned in his line. All right, we're talking about the line that grew the human beings. All right, and so the line of humans come from the seed of the man. So Adam was the first seed maker. He delivered the seed to Seth. So these are all the seed. These are human beings are seeded by human beings. Right. And and here's the thing. And you wouldn't list Abel because his life was taken before he could produce a human being. And so what happens is if Abel would have lived, right, then Adam could have two trees that branched off immediately from him. Right. And he probably had daughters and stuff too, right? So this was that. All right, so hold on. Let me go. So basically, so now what we are dealing with, what we are dealing with is a level of wickedness. We are dealing with a level of wickedness that we are engaged in fighting all the time because it's within. We have always been betrayed. All right, understand this. We have always been betrayed by the B Dub. It's how the Caucasians got into the interior of Africa. It's how they got into all of our genres of music, especially hip hop. All right, especially hip hop. Hold on. So when we talk about this, now we understand why Abel's fruits weren't honored, right? Um, we can talk about how we're always done in by the B Dub and how they always want to usurp authority over us. All right. While even coming up in the culture, I want you to understand something about this. And this is somebody that thinks they can flow back and forth within the culture because remember, the music industry is run by the same people that took our genres of music away from us, and they're slowly trying to act like Caucasians created, so much so that the Caucasians don't know the history of music and think that they created and invented rock and roll. All right. But that's our fault too, because we're not teaching our history. Understand this. We are not teaching our history. And you can't blame nobody for that but us. How do you not teach your own history? Only fools decide to do stuff and not teach their own history. All right. So this is what's going on. Now, the other poetic thing that the Most High did was he told the B Dub, he said, your desire shall be for the man, and he does rule over you. And so what happens is they try to usurp the righteous Afro man And they tried to bounce to any other man. Look at the divestment in industry that the B Dub tried to create. Oh, we need to divest from the Afro man. And why? Why are they pushing a narrative? They're pushing a narrative is because they've been divesting, right? But they're trying to scare us into waiting on them till after they are done being run through, and brothers ain't having it. All right, brothers just ain't having it. Now, the other thing that we've done that was wrong is the Joneses. The Most High told us not to be like the Joneses for a reason. So let's go back here. See, I wasn't going to forget about this. Let's go back to Samuel, 1 Samuel 8 chapter, right? And this is where we make our mistake, right here. It says, and it came to pass when Samuel was old, he made his sons judges over Israel. Now, the name of the firstborn, Joel, whatever, that's not important. Let's get it. Walk not in his way. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together. This is where we want to get to. And came to Samuel in Ramah and said unto him, behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all nations. But this thing was displeasing in Samuel. Give us a king to judge us. And here's the thing. Let's do it again. But his sons that walked not, and elders of Israel gathered together. Now they changed the wording. And this is why y'all need to buy the actual books and keep old Bibles, find them and keep them. Look, you're walking your ways, right? But look at this. Look at this. Look at this. First, let's see what Zimmerman says. The clubhouse meeting. Right, right. And so these are women that want to take the lives of righteous men, but that's not going to work. So they have to convince us to get back with them. But if you're wise, and we don't need all the brothers to get wise, we just need the righteous to be aware of what's going on. And that's what this channel is about. This is why I say it's best for brothers to get passports and look for women outside of the United States. Regardless of color and stuff like that, you need to find her outside of the United States. Now, here we go. The other thing is we don't need kings and stuff. Right? In the eyes of Samuel, this was evil. The Most High knew it was evil. And we all know it was evil, right? And we know it was evil because of the consequences of such thing. If I can find, okay, there it is. The consequences, right? Now, here's the consequences. The consequences of this action is this, that the Most High said to Samuel, the same thing that the B-Dub did in the garden. He said to Samuel, listen to the voice of the people and all that they say to you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from reigning over them. Brothers, that's the blowback right there. There it is, right there. We were never supposed to have kings. We weren't supposed to be like the Caucasians and have their form of government. Their government is corrupt in everything that it does, right? Their government goes everywhere, steal stuff, take the lives of the indigenous, and then take their lands. All right. The panel is now open for those that want to come on here, express questions, or have some other thoughts about all this, right? Right. And so here's the thing. Everything that the B-dub is doing, from the divester movement to openly saying that they're just going to try to unalive us, is all because of one thing. At the beginning of this, when you go to Genesis, the 3rd chapter, the Nahas said to the woman, basically, that she would have power, right? She would have the knowledge of the Most High, knowing good and evil. But it backfired in such a way because as a result of that knowledge that's being taught to man, the man, Adam, starts to become knowledgeable. And he starts to build. His sons start to build. The woman, the weaker vessel, now is not equal to the man. Because understand, it wasn't, they were never equal, but they were never in charge of each other. Go back and look at the garden. They didn't need to be in charge of each other. They didn't need to be in charge of each other because the Most High was in charge of them. All their sustenance came from them. They didn't have to want for anything. I want y'all to understand this. The woman didn't have to want for anything. But her vanity and greed got a hold to her, especially vanity. And she lusted after the serpent, which whom the Most High said, don't touch. All right. So she laid up with the Nahash, brought wickedness into the world, severed the relationship between mankind and the Most High, with the Most High only dealing through the man. All right. Since that woman came from the man, when she was severed in the garden, then she severed. The man has the Most High Spirit in him already. Why do you think there is such an attachment by B-dubs to witchcraft? Because they're looking for something to fill that empty spiritual space. And because they are rebellious against the Most High and men, there's nothing to fill it. So they're seeking ornaments and stuff. And what they're trying to do is trying to manipulate strong men. They're trying to manipulate strong men into being with them. And that's not even possible because men have decided, you know what? We're just going to get passports and leave. And this is why they despise the passport movement so much. If anyone want to come in on the panel now, it's open. All right. This is why they despise the passport movement so much. Right? The divester movement is not working. And the reason why the divester movement isn't working, because in this movement, you can only divest if you're chosen. right? In the divester movement, you can't divest from somebody if the other side isn't going to choose you. See, this is the mistake that they make, right? They thought they had options that they really don't have. They thought they had a lot of options, but those options that they thought they have are not panning out. Hold on for a second. So we're back to here. This is why what was done in the garden was sinister. All right. What was done in the garden was sinister. It was sinister on the part of the serpent, and it was sinister on the part of the B-dub. All right. And it'd be difficult. It's hard for her to recover from, because the only way out of it is us, the Afro man. Go ahead, Ace, you're up.
Salute, Nabi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I know I missed an hour worth of valuable information in regards to what Eve did in the Garden of Eden. I am curious, though, from when you read Genesis, what versions of the scriptures was that? Especially since one of your live streams, you mentioned the name Jehovah.
Right. And so it's literally called the scriptures, right? And so way back when, like about 10 years ago, there was this program called eSwords, right? And so what eSwords is it's a digital disc. And now you can just do it online, right? eSwords is e-swords.org or .com, right? And what you can do is a program where you can download all the Bibles. So if you look at the top of what I had up there, all right, you see the Bishop's Bible, the King James 1611, and this, that, and the other, right? Now, so I'm using that one because it keeps the names intact. It keeps a lot of the names intact. It keeps a lot of the words as they should be. All right. So like with Samuel, when they said, give us a king to rule over, he said, this is evil. Because it was. And the Most High, we know it's evil because the Most High said, well, they rejected me, I'm going to reject them. Now, when we go back and read Hosea, my people perish for lack of knowledge, right? We always stop there, but you shouldn't stop there, because what it really says is, my people perish for lack of knowledge because they reject knowledge. So it don't say we perish for lack of, because we lack knowledge. It says we perish because we lack knowledge, and we lack knowledge because we reject it. If we wouldn't reject knowledge, then we wouldn't perish, because then we would have it. But the reason why we lack knowledge is because we reject knowledge. When somebody's up here, like if you look at my channel versus a B-dub can come up, shake her behind, and that's all it takes. And this is why you have so many doing it, because they can get paid and they can get the attention of most of the dudes by just doing that. Right? But I'm up here giving brothers knowledge that they can go back and read. Like you wanted to know what books I'm using, what programs. So I just gave you the knowledge of that program and how to get it. You see what I'm saying? But think about all the brothers that's not going to hear this, because I don't got no female in the background that I'm arguing with. See, that's the other format. have women on the panel where nothing gets solved, nobody learns anything, and I can say a bunch of catchphrases. Well, y'all know that because most of the catchphrases that people are using today is stuff that I was saying way back 10 years ago. And they're just now coming to these conclusions, right? And so that's the thing, right? This book keeps everything intact. And I will say this too. I would say if you can buy it, it's simply called the scriptures. And we need to start buying all these old Bibles, all these old history books, all these old math books. All right, because the new math that they're teaching our children, like when the girls I was raising, when they was coming home with homework, I was like, what the hooty hoo is this? Right? They're not teaching them to be able to understand, to be able to troubleshoot. Right? These books, they're changing words. They're omitting stuff. Right? They're talking about this Mandela effect. It isn't an effect. It's just that they control everything that is put out there. And so because of this control, they can start erasing stuff. Old dictionaries, there it is. Hey, Julian, I just bought one too. 1885. Right? Old dictionaries. All right. Hey, and if you want to pop in here, do so. All right. So, yeah, that's where I got this from. But I got all the books. The stuff that I talk about, when I got the PDF of the book of Enoch, the book of Jasher, now I'll send that to people if they need it. If you want the book of Jasher, I have it in PDF form. I have the Willie Lynch letter in PDF form. I have the book of Enoch in PDF form. I have the Apocrypha in PDF form. Right? All the stuff that they try to keep from us, I can send it to you. But my thing to you is, and when I say you, I'm talking about all of you under the sound of my voice, is to go and start investing in the books. Because these books are getting expensive because they don't want us to have them.
In
You see what I'm
regards to
saying?
the book, yes, in regards to the books that you mentioned through PDF, I am interested in regards to the Apocrypha, the book of Enoch, and the book of Jasper.
Okay, so what you can do is in the description box, there is my email, right? Send me an email and I will send you those books in PDF form. And when you send me the email, it's going to be refugetemplenabi@hotmail.com, right? When you send me the email, put what you want and I'll just send them to you, the PDF. And the reason why you do it that way is emails is the last thing where we can send a file like that, where somebody can get it and put it on their phone or put it on your computer. You see what I mean? You can't send stuff like that in Facebook anymore, on Messenger, or so that's why emails are good. That's why I still have my email. So if y'all want a copy of that, in the description box below my Cash App and below the PayPal, it should be Twitter and email. I don't do anything on Twitter. I'm just saying. I need to take that out, but I got so used to copying it. Take that email, send me an email, and I'll send you the PDFs.
Very well, then. One thing that did spark my interest, you mentioned 10 years ago, most people, especially from those that are into the history of which we originate from, they are lost of knowledge since we did not possess the knowledge which those that came before were supposed to bestow the knowledge in the first place. Now, from your experience on the YouTube for the past 10 years, how bad or very lackluster was those seeking information versus the many brothers that are seeking information now?
Okay, so my channel before 2017, Okay, because we know this point because Adpocalypse, where the B Dubs gathered together on Facebook, and I still got the screenshots of that meeting, and they decided to go after and destroy the money of Afro men by taking down our YouTube channels, right? And I was making enough money to take care of a community, which I was doing, right? I was getting 1 million views per videos, at least 100,000 for a lot videos for each of my videos. Okay. Now, with that said, with that said, not only did BWs take down the channel, but another thing that happened is a lot of dudes start mimicking or copying what I was saying on my channel. There were things that I was doing, like I used to play my organ during my lives. Like some of the times in between my lives, they had this one thing with this woman shouting and stuff like that. So I used to play my organ like I was preaching, right? And then there's a dude that made himself name a minister somebody, and then he bought an organ machine. So while I was actually playing my keyboards and that organ sound, and we was all enjoying ourselves, then there's a dude called Minister somebody. He decided to get a keyboard, and he stole that part of my thing. Didn't lend credit to it. They stole a lot of my talking points. Didn't live credit to it. A lot of dudes have my format and my sayings along with Sotomayor's and didn't lend credit to, because a lot of them were helping females to get rid of the competition so that they can grow their channel. We're talking about black people. This is why we don't have nothing, right? And so while a lot of people listened to me back then, that group is split up over many channels of brothers that took parts of my old channel, and they did this thing to the point where a lot of people will hear me at random. They're like, "Oh, you're the Nabi." Like I'll be at the VA or something, and they're the man. Yeah, back in the day. And so that's the purpose of it. So that it's back in the day. Right now, people aren't getting real information. What they're getting is entertainment. So you got a bunch of dudes. If you got one female in the mix and you're talking about what's actually harming the community, they're not going to help it. They're going to go up there to make sure that females don't look that bad. They're not interested in the truth. They're interested in the saving the image of the B-Dub. Because
In
they
other
know how.
words, my fault,
Go
my
ahead.
fault. In other words, inverted or hidden simping, trying to save the B-Dub from further humiliation. Basically, hidden
Right.
simping.
Instead of getting the truth out to save the entire community from destruction or annihilation or extinction.
So you were on the YouTube community providing valuable information in the, I dare say, in the 2011, if not 2012 or 2014 at the very least, since this will be 10 years, since we're in 2024.
Well, I started in 2009, right? And so, and I got big in 2013 and 14, right? 2015, 16, and 17, I got real, especially around 2016, right around the election. And so my channel got really big. And then they went after it 2017, March 7, in March 2017. Those women went after our channels, right? And so, and there was a guy by the, and I still call him out, O'Shea Duke Jackson, that helped him. He even threatened me that, hey man, you need to calm down for on the B-Dubs and what they've done to the community. But I was pointing out the facts, particularly on abortion, particularly on the lies that was told on the Afro men, and particularly on their culpability on what was going on in the courts and stuff like that. And I knew this I knew this in depth because the children that I was raising came to me from by way of CPS, right? And so I was very, very involved in all the messes and stuff going on within CPS and stuff that was being done to dudes that were trying to be good fathers. I was looking at it firsthand. Hell, I was in court and stuff behind stuff that was happening to other dudes, behind the lies of females, firsthand. You see, I firsthand watched females lie and put people in serious trouble, get children taken from them. I watched it. I watched it in court. I was in court. My first sergeant, he's like, Sergeant Kalanji, he said, you need to get rid of them girls. That's what he told me. They had DHHS all up in my. He told me that him and my commander, they were real concerned because they saw the work that I was doing that was good, and man, it was a lot of stuff. I dealt with racism in the Army the whole time because I was in the medical field. I dealt with racists, had to fight that. I had good sergeant majors until I got to Fort Sam. I had good sergeant majors. I had good first sergeants, right? But my immediate chain of command was garbage because they hated that I had rank but wasn't a behind kisser, right? So you have all this stuff going on, and then I have to go home and deal with all these legal battles in courts and stuff like that, right? And so, and I had people trying to target me, but what happened is, as people have always been involved in my home life, and so like officials, and so they was like, "No, he's hands off." Right. So I had protection while the people that didn't know was coming after me. And most of the people that was trying to get me were B-dubs. Mad that their boyfriend left them with a child. And that's when I found out one lied in court, lied on me in court. Right. And when the judge found this out and was going to go after him, they had already fired her. And gave me a Caucasian woman, and I remember that everybody that tried to attack me for doing good was a B-dub. So I've seen it firsthand. Now, unfortunately for me, I never did drugs. I wasn't a drinker, right? So fortunately, and the girls liked the environment that they were growing up in. You see what I mean? And so there was structure in the house. And even though they didn't like it, they liked it, if you know what I mean. Because we did stuff, we didn't celebrate holidays, but they got what they want before everybody else did because I didn't wait all year to get it. You see what I mean? But this destructive behavior, seeing these girls grow up, my biggest adversaries have been the B-dub that was just trying to ruin these girls' lives. So yeah, it's a real different thing. That in some of my old videos, you will hear them on it, right? And so when you look at the difference between then and now, you got a lot more dudes that's in here, watching stuff, but they're still not interested in the truth. They are interested in being entertained. They want to hear somebody say something fancy. When people share some stuff with me, most of it is garbage. Oh, did you hear what he said? No, I'm looking at what he does. Like what this channel do, a lot of people can tell you. All the old people on this channel right now in the comment section who has donated to my channel, they can all tell you that all the money that I got from people went back into getting stuff for youth in the community, to include part of my pension. They all can tell you that.
So, from what I can understand, for the past decade, you have been helping so called black girls and what I will assume black boys as well, since they mostly
Hmm.
came from single mother households. And the group that has been attacking you throughout your noble cause were the B dubs for the past decade.
Yes. Yes. And, but not just the past decade. What I grew to understand, because I was like everybody else, but as I started learning that the people that's always been trying to set me up for failure has been them. My mom, aunts, right? Because everything is about them, right? Everything is about them. Now, my mom wanted the glory when she saw how I turned out. But remember, I grew up mainly in the orphanage, in and out of CPS. We didn't call it that at the time, but I was in and out of shelters and stuff for youth. All right. And so basically, but when it's like, oh man, he's made some of himself. Let me be proud. Like I had something to do with it. Right. And this is the thing. I don't have any animosity towards it. Hold on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Bobby.
Okay. So I don't have any animosity, but I am acutely aware of the damage that they do. All right. And like I'm in Colombia, but if you look at the women I like here, they're the black ones. And they are even a problem. Only in Spanish. I see the same thing in the same community when I go into the barrios and hand out soccer balls. I see the same thing in Brazil. And then I started to understand, and then I told brothers when I started going to Brazil, I said, "Okay, we're going there to try to get a nice Brazilian um, sister, and they exist here, but you're more likely going to end up with a Moreno or a Caucasian-looking woman because they ain't feeling us like that because for some reason there is this mentality that is ingrained in them." And then I started looking, what do they all have in common? They were all trained to and stuff and given the edge over the men by the people who were trying to destroy the men. Remember, these are all former slave states.
This is true, if I'm not mistaken. And
Colombia,
from
go
what I can
ahead.
understand, my fault. My sincerest apologies.
No. Go ahead. You know there's a
From
delay.
from that explanation, it's a combination of vanity and instant gratification when it comes to
Mm,
most people these days seeking entertainment, which is hard for the truth to actually be relevant or meaningful unless they willingly decide to either A, ask you, or experience something that things start to click.
uh-huh. Cortez Smith, he says, I remember you warning us about Brazil back in 2015, but the other black men who went there refused to acknowledge the truth. And that's because they were trying to make content and make themselves seem like, oh man, I'm getting all these fine sisters here. And they probably had girlfriends, but they were less likely to be sisters. You see what I'm saying? And even when they're showing who they're with on a lot of these videos, they're not sisters. Now the difference will be in the DR. In the DR, it's a whole different animal because they're mainly us, even though they won't admit it, right? And so in the DR and here in Colombia it's different. But here in Colombia is different only because, say, like in Cartagena, you have an influx of the Palenqueros. And if you go to San Basilio Palenque, if you get an opportunity to tour there, you got to be careful who you tour there with. But if you get a tour from out of a hotel and you go there, and When you get up, if you go there with only black people, oh, they are not going to sugarcoat anything. All right, you're going to no. And because they are so fiercely proud of the culture of fighting against being slaves, unlike in Brazil, like everybody is muddled up because the women were trained that if you want to improve your race, I put this painting up called The Redemption of Cain, Redemption de Cain, right? If you want to improve your race, get rid of the melanin. In other words, only marry Caucasians, right? And that was this belief. Our movement in the 60s changed how a lot of these people in these other places were seeing brothers, right? Our movements and our music, right? Our music is unapologetically our music. And even when they take part of our music and turn it into rock and roll and prevent us from playing rock and roll, well, we say, we'll let you have that. It's ours. You didn't create it, but we'll let that be your thing. And we'll just take all the rest of the genres. And then they tried to pop it up, but then we start taking that back too. And now they're trying to get a hip hop like Fat Joe and all that. No, it's take a seat, bro. All right. We're taking that back. Right? We're going to gatekeep our stuff. Now, here's the significance of that. Our funk is played heavily in Brazil. There's a pride in it. What makes our music different is our music is the only music that was started by black people that was not totally taken over by the oppressor. If you take salsa now and look at who's winning all the awards for salsa, you're not going to see hardly any black person in any country that does salsa. Okay? You're not going to see it. Hold on, let's see this. Black men, when we date other races of women, we view them as women, show them respect. Unlike, right. And this is why, so Brother Elijah, he's in the Philippines right now. He moved, whole hog moved there, moved his stuff there and stuff, getting his place out, building whatever he's going to do, right? And I was like, this brother got in so good with the community. I said, brother, if you ain't careful, these old women in the Philippines is going to marry you off. Because in the Philippines, once you leave the cities and you go into the provinces, we are number one on their list because we have history there, right? We have a history with helping them when our country was trying to oppress them, black people, right? And so brothers, when we go there, that's why you see a lot of brothers go there and they come back married. Right. And so with this, that place is different in that way. Colombia is different in that way. The DR really don't, they are us. I mean, I'm over there, I'm looking at all these children right by this school, and they all look I was like, I don't know how y'all thought y'all was something else other than us. Like in my old Cat Williams voice. You see what I mean? And so this is how it is outside of the United States. Now, in these other countries, like in Venezuela and in Colombia and Brazil, if a woman wants to marry you, it's going to be a non-Afro woman. If a woman just wants to date and have fun, that's everybody. Them include Afro women, whatever. Like you take them out, go out the bars, and that's it. But if a woman wants to be a wife and she like Afro people, she want to be a wife for good. Colombian are some of the most loyal women, and they ain't going to be, you know, over physical mistreatment, that's one thing, but they ain't going to be not over too much. Right? Brazil, kind of the same thing. All right. None of them is going to be as possessive as the Filipinas. Right. Now, the difference is the Filipinas, once you get to the province, you're probably going to end up with somebody that's a virgin or close to it. Unlike the United States, where you got women that want to be possessive of you, but they've been run through by a bunch of thugs and they want you to take care of their kids. You know, because we don't have children anymore. They're kids.
I see.
Little baby.
If you can hear me though right now, Nabi, one
I can hear
person
you.
pretty much answered the question under the name Minister, and if you go back to that comment, the name was Minister Jap. Was that the same
Right.
person that copied your
Yeah.
flow?
Yep. With the organ thing. Yep. See, I was actually playing my keyboard in organ form for real throughout the 91. And that's why everybody know who it is. Because a lot of these people have been listening to me since then. And I would play it live.
And the name of the person, which I will give it to, will be Youngboy24. The one who made that comment and connected the dots.
Yeah, he said it. He said, I said
Technical difficulties, I see. You were not kidding, Nabi. Considering, I think your screen froze. To be continued in the next stream in the next few minutes.
Hey, brother, you can pop back up. Yeah, you can pop back up. All right, and this is the biggest problem within the black community. All right, the so-called black community. The biggest problem in the black community is this. You got people that will leech off of somebody, and in order to be the only ones to make the money, all right, and these are people that don't help, all right, these are people that decided that they're not going to help the community. They're not going to help a brother help the community. All the people running around, well, we need to do something to help the community, right? So what's happening is like, these are people that are not interested in helping the community, right? And hold on for a second. When I say these things are sinister was happening, when I say these things are sinister that are happening, right? One of the things I want you to understand is that many, all right, many want to make money so bad that they will silence the actual people that are actually doing something for the community. I realize I can't do nothing for the United States and people in the United States anymore because I don't get the donations, right? Most of the people will give money to the people that have them platforms that's entertaining them, not the people that's helping the community. This is why the Black community will not be helped, right? And so what I do is I use what little from my little audience I get, and so I help Afro communities outside of the United States, because you could do a lot more with a lot less there, and they are still us. They got off the boat sooner, like first, or they're us in that we used to live here before the Caucasian created borders. We were all the same. We're all the same people, right? We weren't separated by borders before. Only now. And so they're us. Here in, I look at people in Colombia, when I see brothers and sisters, I look at them as us, right? And so when I was talking about what's going on with the Plinkiatas and stuff like that, it's easier to help them, right? And we built a bridge kind of like an ambassador for us as a people, right? But the people that's trying to make money off the B-Dub, they will run interference. They will keep us on the plantation of religion, right? Because that's what it's all about with them. Hold on for a sec. All right, so that's what we have. All right, and so while we're trying to be above that, everybody else isn't. So that's what's going on, bro.
So to understand, it goes back to what you discussed earlier too. While there were a number of people such as yourself that was providing real information and receipts on the B dubs, but a number of men, all pretty much in the case of O'Shea, halt either, if not pretty much prevent the information for further going in. If I'm
Right.
not mistaken.
Right. And they took it over. So what happens is when they take it over, they water it down. All right, because what happens is I could care less if a female show up. I can care less if they donate or not, with the understanding that in all probability, with the exception of two, that no one, not they've never donated to help me help the community. All right. I remember Miss Bertha, right? But outside of her and a few others, like two or three, that most of them, right, will only give money to people that help tear apart the community by making them feel good and blaming things and bearing false witness. The reason why the community will not be helped, because we're in violation of one major commandment, and that is we should not bear false witness, right? And they do this on a daily basis, bearing false witness against Black men as a whole.
Which is best
Right?
at this point to not try to help out the community at this point, since over a decade has passed, and while a number of so-called Black men got the message, they also realized that the community in its current form is beyond redeemable.
Right. And so you do not cast pearls to swine. That scripture, you do not help a community that the Most High wants to be dealt with, or he wants to judge. And so it's best that we get passports and leave. Or now you help the good people you run across, but you don't try to develop things for the community as a whole. Right. So if I run across a good brother and stuff like that, I'll help them on an individual level. But I'm not going to go to apartment complexes anymore and put boxes in there, soccer balls, and make a soccer field anymore. I'm not doing that mess anymore. Because what happens is the women will have our children steal all this stuff and ruin all the things so that other children can't get the benefit of it, even if everybody in the neighborhood is black. You see? And so what was that? That was casting pearls to swine. When I go into the favelas in Brazil and I go in, the children share amongst each other. Right? Now, it is more risky there. It isn't, but it is. And it is only if there's going to be a battle that day. Right? And since I don't have an automatic pew to, and I wouldn't want one because I need to stay separate. You see what I mean? I need to, when I go into the favela, they know that there's things I don't do now. And I will yell at people. I will yell at the children if they're out of order, or if these women come and start trying to take this stuff I meant for the children, I'll yell at them. Right? Or I will call to one of the older teenagers or some of the men to help me do what I'm doing and stuff, and they'll come and do it. Right. So I kind of take charge in that way, in a way that frightens Aunt Selma, because she's like, where did you get this from? Right. I just know who I am when I go to do stuff. They know my heart. So they listen to me to that level. They know I'm not there to get involved in what they're involved in, if you know what I mean, on a slide or otherwise. So they have respect for that. They're like, you are a spiritual person. We know this. Right. And I sit down and I talk with them. We sit down, get a bunch of plastic cups, go buy a bunch of plastic cups, get a bunch of soda pops. And we all sit down, drink and talk and stuff like that. So I'm at home. Right. And so, and if something does pop off, any of the houses, I would be welcome in. So I could go and just sit out in somebody's house while the police come in and do their thing. Or if there's battles going on, to duck the projectiles. You see what I mean? So I could go in, I could duck out in one of the houses in the alleys, and I know the alleys as good as they do. So yeah, there's that. It's a risk, but it's worth it there. It's not, even though it's safer to do something in that, it's not worth it. And it's sad to say, it's not worth me helping out a community in the U.S. because they only want organizations to do it, right? And the B-Dub don't appreciate a brother doing anything for them anyway.
Has
And
been
so there's
evidence,
that.
has been
Go ahead.
evidence and as confirmed and evidence even throughout the 60s and even before that as well.
Right, and stuff, and there's like, oh, and the black men been getting white women and stuff. Man, I was like, where the hell you think Lena Horne and all of them came from? It wasn't from brothers. Brothers couldn't look at a white woman till after 1967. Really, only Jack Johnson had one, rarely, but all these mix and mulattoes and stuff did not come from the relationship of black men. They primarily came from Caucasian men and black women. We know this. This is history. Oh, but they want us to forget that history in 2024, 2025. You see what I mean? And brothers ain't forgetting now. Brothers are like, nope, all bets are off and we out of here. The good ones. And we're like, no, the thugs and the jailbirds that you created the children with, make them your husbands because you already have children with them. Right? I'm not putting myself through the court system because you set me up for failure because I didn't do something you wanted. No, you ain't going to do me like that. See, and men are wising up. And so this is why the community needs to go. In this current iteration of the matriarch, it needs to fail. It's failed. It's a failed community, but it's a waste of money to do anything for such a community. So I help outside of the U.S. I still help our people, but outside of the U.S. And that's what it is. They don't like it. But then again, they didn't like it when I was helping inside the U.S. Cortez says, right, they want us to forget history so they can rewrite it. Just like with colonialism, accusations. They know they started it. And there it is, right? And so this is why we need to keep history alive. This is the importance of the New Testament, the Old Testament. We need to throw the New Testament away. The reason why they didn't want us to go back to the Old Testament, because it's history of how we got into this mess in the first place. For one, the Most High said we don't need kings. We don't need to be like people who need kings. We have the commandments. And so if we follow those, we'll be good. We said, nope. We're going to have a ruler over us, and when we're going to blame him for everything, where it's still our fault, right? It says
Correct me
for
if
us. Go
correct
ahead.
me if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Nabi, and I do apologize by the way. You made a very important distinction between the judges that we had back then before before we went with the king's notion, because a king means sovereign. So if
Right.
anything, at least back then we had sovereigns, not kings. But due to
Exactly.
the translation of the scriptures, we assume we had kings.
Right. We're taking their words. And so, yeah, you're right. We should say sovereign, because in scripture, that's what it says. Give us a sovereign to rule over us, to judge us. All right. So what happened is they got lazy and didn't want to judge. Because in Ezekiel, the 23rd chapter to 26th chapter, chapter 13 and chapter 16, it says, Son of man, to judge these women, Aholiba, Ahola. All right, we're supposed to judge the government. We're supposed to judge. And there is a whole book called what? Judges. You see what I mean? We were supposed to be the judges. We're supposed to judge these women. We're supposed to judge governments. That's what we're put here. That's our new role. We're judges now, right? We're supposed to make good judgment. So what do we use? By what do we judge? This is why we're supposed to know the commandments. Because that's the guidebook that we judge. That's the laws we follow, the commandments of the Most High. That's what we judge other people by. We judge it, and we judge them to be righteous or unrighteous. Simply that. If they break commandments all the time, and what I mean by commandments is what we do unto each other, right? So if you steal from people, you're a thief. Period. If you make a career or if you in the habit of stealing to get, and the Most High hates a thief. He hates liars too. Right? And so we need to judge. And what we see now is we can judge the B-Dub as liars because they lie in order to cover up the wickedness that they have done to the community. Right? And so when we say what he really did in the garden was sinister, it's sinister in two ways. It's sinister because of the serpent having the understanding that he was going to corrupt the woman and then laid with her to bring evil wickedness into the thing. Now, what I can't guess is when we talk about the watchers in Enoch and we talk about with the Nahash in the garden, I don't know that they thought that they were bringing evil into the world. I think they just wanted the box. Right? And so in order to get the box, the serpent, this is what it looks like for me. The serpent went to talk to Eve because he wanted the box. Right? And in order to get the box, he was going to trade with her the knowledge that he had of good and evil. Why? Because he's a watcher. Right? And so after getting the box, He taught her, and then she went back and taught the man, right? And then when Yehovah Elohim walked through the garden and saw that they treated their bodies differently, had shame, that's why he said, who taught you this? Who made you to know? He didn't. That's what he said. Who taught you? A tree don't teach. Have you eaten? And so when we say eat knowledge, eat fruit, we mean get knowledge when we're looking in spiritual realms, right? And he said, did you learn from the people in the midst? And so that's it. And then that's why he says to the woman, what is this that thou have done? What did you do? Basically, what in the hell did you do? Because he knew she had laid with the serpent.
In this case, trusting the word of the serpent instead of trusting the Most High when it comes to
No,
not
that
eating.
didn't what she. No, it was vain. It was vain, and she slept with him because he looked good. Because that's what she says. Because here's the thing: the words of the Most High. Here's the thing: a lot of times she knew. She knew that she would surely die. She trusted the Most High that what he said was right. But out of plausible deniability, she said she was deceived by the serpent. Right? That's plausible. That we have women that do this now. They know that what they're doing is wrong. They know they shouldn't do it. But because they like the person they doing it with, they do it anyway because they have an excuse in their back pocket, so to speak. Right? And so when you look at it and you really look at it, you ask, what was the purpose of the serpent going to the woman? And this is why he went to the woman to tempt her and not go after the man. He was after the box. We know this
And
because
from
he
what
created Cain. And we know this is because the fallen have a history of looking at the women and wanting that box. Because Zimzaza and the 200 fallen did the same thing. They said, ooh, look at all those boxes out there. Let's go make some
in
children with them.
now I see what you mean by the box, aka a woman's special
The
part that
bound chicken,
many men
wow,
will seek
wow.
to create. And from
Right.
what you just explained a moment ago, basically, in the scriptures, when it said that Eve was deceived by the serpent, that itself was a lie from what you just explained. Because she could have just said, I willingly chose to believe in the serpent in his words, but instead she tried to minimize, if not reduce, the damage of the sin that she.
Right. By saying that she was deceived. Now, she blatantly, here's the thing. She said, Elohim has said not to eat or touch. Understand, and I keep repeating in this order. This is how you know he didn't say don't touch and eat. Don't touch and eat. He said don't eat or touch. Think about it. He said don't eat or touch from the tree in the midst of the garden. Don't eat or touch. All right, so he's not talking about no fruit because you got to touch the fruit to eat it. All right, and the reason why we believe it was an apple is because the oppressors painted this picture and put an image up there, and this is why in the commandment it says we shall not worship and bow down to images, whether they're in the heavens above, in the earth, or waters under the earth, because these men came and make image of what heaven looked like. They ain't been. Right? And so we get these images in our head. Oh, it was an apple. Right? It didn't say, and basically Where it's not talking about a piece of fruit at all. It says don't eat or touch. And she did both. She learned from them, and in exchange for learning from them, she did the bow chicka wow wow. And the bound chicka wow wow is what the hash was after, like all the rest of the fallen. They were
A
after the
very
box.
a very historical and interesting statement you just made, Nabi. I'll definitely take the time to reflect on this as well.
Right. And I started thinking about this. I was like, why did the serpent? And this is something, but here's the thing. When you start reading Genesis in context and you start reading about the watchers mating with the women and teaching them all kind of things and teaching them wickedness, because the wickedness that the women learned, they passed to the men. And then some of the watchers taught the men, right? Taught them how to make war and stuff like that. And so, yeah, all this was to get the box.
All right, then. Before anything, in exchange, in regards to the email that you provided on the description box, I will return the favor of providing you a link which connects to not only the topic of this live stream, but also when it comes to the nature of the B-dub. A spoiler
Mm-hmm.
alert of the title, it will be called Women on Top of the Beast, and they'll definitely bring some connections.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so this is basically it. All this was for the box. Remember, they saw the daughters of men and they wanted to get the box. And the serpent in the garden, why didn't he tempt the man? Because he was after the box and he got the box. And when you put everything together, marry it up with what's in Enoch in chapters 5, 8, and 10, and so on and so forth, but specifically those, and just read them all the way through. And then everything comes together and you have a picture, right? You have a picture. And now, if you take that and marry it up with the condition of the B-dub today, where 59% of them is greater than 59% of B-dubs have multiple children from multiple babies' daddies, right? You got the majority of black men from the ages of 15 to 49 that don't have children at all at 54%. 54% of black men from the ages of 15 to 49 do not have children. The majority of black women are single mothers. That's at 69%, right? So at 59%, many of them have multiple babies' daddies. Remember, 59% of black women have multiple children from multiple babies' daddies. And then 10 more percent are just single moms altogether, right? And then the majority of Afro men do not have children at 54%. And then you got 30 to 30%, 36% who are married. All right, then that's telling. But what's also telling is you have 556,000 more black men who are married than black women. All right, and then when you start painting the picture and putting the information out there, and I don't just all this information is put out in my videos, black and white or in color anyway. But all these numbers are put out there by CDC, HDS, and all the rest of these organizations, right? And government entities. When you look at it, and then you look at how the STDs and STIs are growing, in particular with the B-dub in major cities, right? You come out with the picture of the B-dubs is looking, they'll give the box up quickly for the smooth talker. We said this before. The smooth talker, the pimp, the player, the dude in jail. And then only after they've been run through, no longer virgins and have a bunch of children, are they looking for the cleanup guy, the man with means, the good man who wanted a family in the first place, All right. Only then are they looking for him for a relationship. But brothers ain't having it. But then when you look back, this has been the story. We have always been betrayed. All right. Because if the woman won't listen to a direct commandment from the Most High, what makes you think they're going to listen to a man unless they're a righteous woman? Right? It's hard to find a righteous woman. They exist. But that's how you know they're righteous because they'll listen to a brother. They will submit to a brother. All right. And these other women, they'll submit to the other man. They'll submit to him on the job. They'll submit to him in any other thing. They'll submit to them in court. They submit to their systems. They be like, don't judge, don't judge. And then they go straight to a judge to be judged. Make that make sense. Right? And so that's the condition under which we're living. Oh, let me say this. And so for the rest of y'all that came in late, my PayPal me and my Cash App is in the description box. And so if you want to donate to help me out with what I do in the communities, you can go down there to do that. My email is there if you want any of the PDFs. And before you donate to anybody, all right, you're supposed to govern your money and be a good steward over your money. If you don't have it to give, don't give. Right? You're supposed to take care of yourself and family first before you give anything to anybody. All right. But if you hit the lottery or something and you want to help a brother out with what he's doing in the community, it'll be most appreciated. All right. So with that out the way, let's see, insatiable. All right, so with that out the way, these are the things we're dealing with as brothers, right? And this is why a lot of brothers want a wife, and this is why a lot of brothers are finding a whole lot of success once they leave the United States. A lot of brothers that got their pensions from the military or SSI and stuff, even something as small as SSI, when they leave, they're able to find a wife. Let that sink in, y'all. Right? So we got a lot we're dealing with. We have a lot we're dealing with. You back. All right, we have a lot we're dealing with. But the answer is that one, we are supposed to judge. We're supposed to know the commandments well enough to judge somebody. Not religion. We don't judge people by religion. We judge them by the commandment. If they still in there as thief. If they're a liar, they're a liar. All right, that's how we're supposed to judge. We're not supposed, oh, you ate pork. No, that ain't, no. Those aren't the things we judge. Those are for us. Some of the things are for how we take care of our body, and some of the things is societal. So you're supposed to know the commandments that's in Exodus and Deuteronomy and Leviticus. Know them. There's people we shouldn't be messing with, like cousins. That's Leviticus 19th chapter. Read the whole thing. Is the sin that Ham committed. Slept with his mother. That's why the first son, Canaan, and only Canaan was cursed. The land of Canaan wasn't cursed. Canaan, the son, was cursed because he was a byproduct of that relationship. And you know, when he said he looked upon his father's nakedness, well, it spells it out in Leviticus, the 19th chapter. To sleep with your mother is to take your father's nakedness, for she is your mother, or something. Let me pull that up because I jacked it up. Leviticus.
Just giving you a heads up, Nabi, I just sent you an email, including that possesses the link that I mentioned. Woman on top of the...
Okay. Let me see something. Is it 17? Always messed it up. Oh, it's 18. Okay, so let's see. Do my right rules and laws. For those of you that was ever wondering why the Most High was so harsh on Ham, he didn't look, it wasn't a visual thing he did. It was an action that he did with his mom. And this is the action he did. He said, Levi's 18:6, no one is to approach anyone of his own flesh to uncover his nakedness. What did Ham do? He uncovered thy father's nakedness. I am Yahweh. Levi 18:7, the nakedness of your father or the nakedness of your mother you do not uncover. She is your mother. You do not uncover her nakedness. All right. And then it goes down. And you can tell what he means by uncover. It means to bound chicken wow wow, to get the box. You shall not be getting the box of your mom. All right. The nakedness of your father's wife you do not uncover. It is your father's nakedness. The nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father, or the daughter of your mother. Notice how specific it's getting. So to uncover thy nakedness is to sleep with. To sleep with, we mean bound chicken wow wow, not snoring. Right? So the nakedness of your father's wife you do not uncover. It is your father's nakedness. In other words, it is your mother. You do not bound chicken wow wow with your mom. The nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father or the daughter of your mother, you do not uncover. Because that's your sister. So you don't bound chicken wow wow with your sister. So when we look at what Ham did, and see, this is stuff that the church ain't going to teach. Right. All right. This is the stuff that they do not teach. All right. So in the laboratory, let me break something down for y'all real quick. In the laboratory, I'm gonna get down to the end of this, but I'm gonna put this up here right now. There's this situation when we're in blood bank, right? And so when you see on the ER and all these emergency, I want a pint of blood stat, right? But we test it, right? We test this blood cells against your serum, right? We're looking for antibodies and the reaction. If you are O negative, then we should be able to give you O negative blood, providing there are no other minor antibodies in there that's going to be a problem. So we do something called a cross match, where we heat the cells up and try to get them to agglutinate using bovine albumin and this, that, and the other, right? But in one situation, we never can find a match. and that is in somebody that has Bombay. Bombay is someone that has blood that is not cross matchable unless it's another person with Bombay, because Bombay means that person is a product of incest. I don't know what you can say on YouTube anymore, right? And so basically there is a curse. Okay, here we go. This is going to be important. Okay, here we go. Now, for those of you who don't understand, the Most High is talking about in these commandments, uncovering nakedness, right? You see this, uncovering nakedness, right? When you look at it, it's talking about this word right here. And do not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness in her monthly separation. When you read stuff in context and keep on reading, eventually you'll get the definition of what they're talking about. And you do not approach a woman to uncover her nakedness in her monthly separation uncleanness. Levi 18 and 20. And do not have intercourse with the wife of your neighbor to defile yourself. That's what uncover nakedness means. It means to do that with next of kin or close kin. And it's very specific about what next of kin you cannot do that with. And you see, it was very specific by naming the daughter of, the mother of, the father of, the brother of the father of, the aunt of the mother of, the daughter of the aunt's mother. It was very specific. You see what I mean? And so what happens is we're not taught to read the way we should, so we miss a lot of things. We're not taught to pick scripture apart, pick out verses. Somebody's always looking for a verse. They said, what verse did you find to say that? There is no verse. Read the whole thing, you'll get what they mean. When I tell people that Ham slept with his mother, they're like, what verse is that? I said, read all of Leviticus. It's very, very clear, especially when you get down to 18 and 21. You see what I mean? But we have people that are so verse written because that's lazy. They don't want to get up there and read the commandments. They just want to be given verse so they don't have to do any work. Or they want you to do the research for them. I say, F you. Go read it for your damn self. You see what I mean? Because that's what we need to say. If they're not coming on to listen to us, help them out in these things, and they're going to somebody like Fuchsia, whatever, to be entertained, then we can't help them. Because if they were interested, they would be here listening to this. You see what I mean? But that isn't what they do. And they're not, a lot of these people, they're not listening for understanding. They see that you're saying something they're not used to, and that is the truth. But so that they can continue in their wickedness, they look to distort or combat the truth by saying, well, where did you find that? Hoping that you don't have the information. Women do this all the time. Well, um, well, you say this. Where is the proof? Where are the numbers? Where's the numbers? Then when you show them the numbers, then they try to move the goalpost some other way, right? That's what's going on. It's a level of wickedness that is beyond wicked, right? So, with that said, y'all, man, Rolando, what's up, man? You late. All is well, brother. All is well. I'm in Colombia right now. But with that said, y'all, I'm gonna bust a move and get ready to um, pack up. All right, but I have some stuff to take to some youth in another city. I'll be on. I'll be on my way to do that Friday. But hey, y'all, and y'all get and all that get an understanding, brothers. Understand what's really going on, right? Understand that what was done under the sun today. And I meant to go to Ezekiel. This thing is being passed down from mother to daughter, from mother to daughter. As it is with the mother, so it is with the daughter. That's what it says in Ezekiel 26th chapter. All right, let me see. Let me find that real quick. Let's see, 16. I'm just making sure I get this right. All right. Garments or okay, an abomination on women a day. It came after evil. You shall build arch for. Oh, a wife who commits adultery who takes strangers instead of her husband. Hmm. Or master because of the copper porter. Judgment of the adulterers is shed as the blood, bring them in. I shall give you to the hands against you, fire, and upon you the wrath of jealousy, and shall he remain calm. Because you did not remember the days of your youth with me to see this, I shall also bring you forth and declare the like here it is. So let me put this down here. It's Ezekiel 16. You are your daughters. Hold on. This is some deep stuff here. The Most High had always been trying to warn us, right? But pastors have always tried to keep us from there. Because you did not remember the days of your youth, troubled me with all of this. I shall bring you your way to your own head, declared Master Yahweh. And it shall be. All right, here we go. Okay, is a thought of all your abominations each equal. See, all who proverb shall use this proverb against you, like mother, like daughter. You are your mother's daughter who despises her husband and her children. And you are the sister of your sister who despises their husbands and their children. Your mother was a Hittite, your father Amorite. All right. So yeah, these watchwords and watch phrases, it's a real thing. Now, with that said, I'm a bust a move, get ready to go. Check the description box for all that information, and I will catch y'all on the next one. All right. And brother, I'll take a look at that you sent in the email, and I'll send you those. I will send you those. The book of Jack, whatever book you ask for, I'll send it to you, PDF. But I recommend that brothers, you start buying these books, right? Because if you don't get the books, they're going to change stuff on the internet, and you're going to think you're reading something, and it's going to be propaganda. All right. So with that said, I'm out. Peace, love, and soul. I will holler at you all later, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. All right, brother. You good, Ash? Ace? Ace. All right. Well, I'll holler at you all later. All right. Peace, love, and soul. I'm out. All right. Thanks, Ace, for stopping up into the panel. And the rest of y'all, I'll holler at you all later. And you too, Ace.